What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Brutal Planet Comics. I'm your host, Dre the Brute Daniels, and welcome to another episode of the Indie Corner, where I sit down with everybody from the independence community, writers, artists, directors, producers. Doesn't matter if you're in the game, I want to talk to you. So today we got ourselves a very especial guest that's coming from the other side of the country, all the way from Hawaii. He is the owner of Maui Comics and Collectibles, a tremendous comic shop. Give it up, everybody, for Alika Seki.
What's up, Dre?
What is going on, my friend? It's so good to see you.
It's awesome to see you, man.
Absolutely. I'm so glad you were able to make the time. I know it's kind of early over there for you. I know I'm 6 hours ahead of you.
It's not even that early in the morning. I'm just I got so many things in the morning I gotta get through.
Yeah, I bet. But I want, first of all, before we even get started, I want to thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for taking the time to come and sit and talk with me, and so we can chop shop a little bit and just figure out all the amazing stuff you're doing on the other side of the country.
Thanks for having me, and thanks for having your show, man. I've been following the page, and you've been putting it out there, so it's awesome.
Oh, thank you. You're far too kind. So before we even get into the in-depth journey, let's just talk about you a little bit, Alika. Where you're from? Who are you? How do we get here?
So I'm originally from Hawaii, but my mom's from the mainland. So as a young kid, they split up. So when I was about 7, I moved to Boston. I lived there for a long time. I did, I moved back and forth between Hawaii and Boston. I did my main schooling over in Boston, but I have, and this is the other thing, I have 5 other brothers and 2 half sisters.
Wow, big family.
The brothers all stayed in Hawaii. Well, sorry, my full brother was with me in Boston for a little while. He got in trouble with the law. They gave him an ultimatum. Either go to juvie in Boston or go back to Hawaii with their dad. He went back to Hawaii.
Easy choice.
But the rest of our brothers, never left Hawaii, and I was the only one who did my schooling in Boston completely. I went to college at UMass Amherst. I got a degree in civil engineering, and but it's just I always use that to paint the picture about the Hawaii school system. I know we're talking about comics, but education and literacy is kind of a big part of it.
Oh, it's a huge part. Absolutely.
I compare my education to my brother's education because I saw directly, I would talk to them. I would see what their levels are in education. And Hawaii is just, as great as the teachers are and as great as the community is, the infrastructure is not Boston is the #1 school system in the country. So it was a stark contrast. And I'm very grateful for being able to do my schooling out there. My mom actually told me, because she didn't have a lot of money when I was growing up. So she just moved to an area where I'd be able to go to a good school system, and I thought that was a smart move. Even the free schools are good, even the public schools are good in Boston. So that was so I was very fortunate to do that.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And after I graduated college in 2004, I moved back permanently.
So you moved back to Hawaii in 2004.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is actually a rare instance. Usually, if you're from Hawaii, you go to college in the mainland. Most of those people never come back. They move to the mainland. The pay is better. There's more opportunities. The brain drain. It's where places that are having trouble with their school system, even when they get academic successes, they don't stick around because the opportunities aren't there.
Exactly.
Which I would hope would change in Hawaii and Maui, and we're such an isolated place that we got to do a lot of stuff in house. If you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm sure that has its own challenges. I'm sure.
Yeah. And with comics too, there's only so many printers who shipping's reasonable to Hawaii.
Yeah.
I think there are a few locally based printers, but I don't have much experience with them.
Okay. Yeah, because I can only imagine how expensive importing alone can be.
Shipping is usually the cost of the item. It's it's hard.
Yeah, and I think that especially a challenge, especially in the comic industry. When overwhelming majority obviously is on the mainland, and when you're trying to fill your shelves, I know that's can be a challenge in of itself.
Yeah, because if the printer's going to be here in Hawaii, that printer still has to import the paper, so the cost is going to show up somewhere. It Doesn't
Yeah.
matter.
Yeah, that's a challenge. That's a challenge. Well, good on you for grinding it out. So, thank you for sharing your origins with us. That's super super dope. Oh wait, they'll ask me if I don't ask you. Are you a native Hawaiian or are you?
No, so I have zero Hawaiian blood.
Okay.
My mother is nondescript white,
Okay.
which is like they you know what I mean. Like
Yeah.
with white people, it's like they have to trace back to figure out where
Irish, German,
and which my family is
for.
working to do. I don't have the clear picture on that, but needless to say, just white. And then my dad's side is 100% Japanese, so I'm like down the middle, 50-50.
Okay.
Japanese
Okay.
and
Because
or you know,
when folks look at you, because when folks look at you, they're gonna be like, he's not quite white.
It's fun. It's funny, man. Like, because when I lived in Boston, depending on who I was with, you know, because it's a pretty progressive place, and I'm not going to say that Boston's not racist because it is, but I'm just saying it's progressive, so they're not going to be overtly racist. So a lot of situations, I would just be white passing, mostly because the white people would be confused. They'd be like, I know this dude's not all the way white, but he's somewhat white. Yeah. And, you know, so, but the other thing is, like, depending on where you go, people will make different guesses, you know?
Of
like,
course.
I found on the mainland, they're so, like, with their racism that it's like four. It's like black, white, Asian, Mexican. Yeah. That's it. That's all there is.
That's it. There is no in between. That's it. That's all you get.
My cousin Chad, he moved to Louisiana for like a month, and he's Hawaiian.
Oh,
and he's dark, and he was like, I couldn't stand it. Everybody's like talking Mexican to me. They would not believe that I wasn't Mexican. And he moved back after a month. He was like, couldn't deal with it.
That's funny.
I felt bad, but I was like, that's how it is over there.
That's the way it goes. See, Alika, at least you can blend it from time to time. There's no ifs, ands, or buts for me.
And I appreciate that. I so appreciate and having lived in Hawaii where, you know, white is like and there's like poetic justice in that. I think some black people move here and they, not that they're like, haha, white people, now you see how it feels, but it's like, it's poetic. Like you see the white people being like, oh, you're mad at me just because of my color. Exactly. And then everybody else is like, yeah. And you know what I mean? It's like, not that anybody ever deserves that.
Yeah. But like,
nobody ever deserves it. But the point is,
shoe on the other foot
will help paint that picture sometimes.
Yeah, I see. But cool beans. But I knew I had to ask, and I knew everybody was like, is he Hawaiian? Is he Hawaiian? I'm like, yo, let me put it out there. But I do have Hanai family. Hanai is the Hawaiian like system of family. They adopt you into their family. They treat you as if you're their, you know, son. My dear friend, you know, my brother's the Kaina family, and while they were alive, Patsy and Kaleo Kaina, amazing Hawaiians from Hana, just you know, took me in and as one of their own, and yeah, I mean, enough can't be said for the Hawaiian people and everything. That's dope. I like that. I love that sense of family. That's awesome.
It'll heal people. I mean, it's people say it and it's so true, and it's like profound. It's like a bomb of a sentence where it's just like, aloha will save the world. It will. It'll pull everyone back from this insanity. It'll heal people of all the pain that they're feeling. And I'm not trying to offend any religion who's been working towards this end. But it's really just a recognition of humanity and just necessary. It's so necessary.
I like that.
I was going through a very tough period of time when I met that family, mentally I was in a hard place, and it wasn't like, in the mainland, they just put you in a therapist in a white room and you talk it out, and it's very sterile, and you try to parse it and make sense of it. And which is, therapy is necessary too, especially if that's what's available and things like that. But the other thing was just being in Hana, in the natural beauty, and that, I didn't have severe depression or anything like that. So that was enough to bring me back out of my, my dark space,
And we all need that.
Yeah,
We all
it
need
was
that.
so necessary. Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that with me,
of
Alika. I
course.
really
Yeah,
do appreciate that, my friend. And for anybody that's going through a hard time, think about that ideology um, to be there for someone or for
if
something that's
exactly, just
going on.
reaching out and talking. You don't know what to say. Don't even talk about what don't be like, are you feeling okay? Don't ask about their feelings. Just be like, yo, let's go get a milkshake or something stupid,
I like
like something that
milkshakes.
doesn't even make sense. I've had friends call me up out of the blue and like, this guy doesn't do this kind of thing normally. And we go do something random like grocery shop or, I like, why do you need me to go shopping with you? I didn't realize at the time that it's just, hanging out with someone and doing something random or,
Yeah,
feeling like a human again.
yeah. It can make all the difference. Alika, you get me in my feels, man. You get me in my
Ah, sorry, man.
feels. All up in my feelings, man. All right, cool. But thank you so much for sharing your life story and all that wonderful stuff about your family. That's
Yeah,
tremendous.
thanks for asking.
That's what this is about. It's about us getting like this. So I really do appreciate that. So you returned back home in 2004. You returned to Hawaii. So how do we get from um, all that great literacy education to creating Maui comics? How do we get there?
So I came back in '04, and the store didn't open until 2015. So that's like a pretty
Okay, got a little
long.
gap.
So after high school, I'm a big comics fan, right? I drop it same time as about everybody else right after the Age of Apocalypse
Sounds about
X-Men
right.
Marvel run. That was kind of when I tuned out because I was like, where does this title go from here? There's no continuity now. They blew it up, and I mean, I could go on for hours about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
But and the thing is, there was a mass exodus from comics at that point, and I don't think that they realized that they did that. They're like, why'd the readers leave? It's like, because you had us and you lost us.
You played us.
Yeah, you played us. Legit, really, I was like, oh man, they're gonna have something really good to come back to. And not that I don't love Joe Madureira, but there was nothing to come back to after that. The art is one thing, but they lost Chris Claremont. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it's over. Cancel Christmas. Santa's not coming to town. It's over.
I'm glad I'm not offending you by saying it.
No, not at all.
Some people, you have to read people when you're talking about X-Men because some people are
nope, not at all.
Fans.
Not at all. I loved Astonishing X-Men. I loved Uncanny.
Yeah, that stuff, that art, that storyline, incredible. I was like,
it's great.
This is beautiful, but it's like when you break china. It shatters and it's shiny and it's pretty, but somebody's got to clean it up after. And nobody came to clean it up afterwards, So it was like we got all the cool stuff from Age of Apocalypse, but the continuity, there was no way to come back to continuity after that.
Ugh, good God. But that's when, well, to me, I have a major problem with continuity shatterings. I have a major problem with that in just about any universe that you have. Now, I get the idea of a shakeup. I understand this because you want to be able to branch off and create new stories and ideas and stuff and blah, 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 blah. But as a consumer, I am invested in a story. I'm invested in seeing where this A goes to B to C to D to E, so on and so forth.
Yes.
Yeah. You tell me I started A and now we're at A.A.
Yeah. And they give the audience too much credit to be able to jump from train to train. It's like nobody wants to move from a jumping train.
No, I don't like doing that. I don't. Yeah. Anyway, I could sit there and talk about that forever.
That was a roundabout way of saying that's why I left comics right before I got into college.
Makes sense.
I'm in college. And I was very nerdy in high school, not a popular guy. Went to college, kind of tried to escape that. Didn't like the way being not, accepted widely. So I wasn't into comics and it kind of helped me out, not be so nerdy. It's not like, if I saw comics, I would go in a comic shop. I would check them out. I would see what was going on, but I wasn't buying them anymore. I wasn't collecting them anymore. And then after college, I come back to Maui, and my friend Kaleo, the one I was telling you about, his family, and I went to somebody's house with him. This random dude, didn't even know the guy, and he handed me 2 graphic novels. One was We Three by Grant Morrison and Frank Quietly. If you haven't read it,
I know the name.
We Three. It's on Vertigo.
Yeah.
It gets reprinted every so often, but it's an amazing graphic novel. Originally came out as 4 comics, and it's about a dog, cat, and rabbit that are put in these cybernetic robo-mech suits, and they're used as weapons by the U.S. military.
Of course.
So by the end of the story, everything about the story is incredible. The art, the storytelling, the end of the story, you're like in tears. You love these animals. It's great. I recommend that one. But then the second book that was in that bunch was a book by Reed Kikuo Johnson called Night Fisher. Reed Kikuo Johnson's from Maui, and his experience kind of parallels my own because I think he has some New England ties. I think he has some ties in Rhode Island, which is right next door to Boston. So we have things to relate over. And I had a friend move from Boston who was a journalist. Her name was Joan McGee. She just recently had a baby, though. Just want to say congratulations to Joan.
Big ups to her.
Yeah, and but she was over here, and she was good friends with Reed. She travels in those circles. She's one of the more educated people I met. I was always in awe of her and them, and I just never really felt like I could. I was kind of intimidated, I guess.
I understand.
And she'd invite me to some parties that Reed would be at, and I just couldn't muster up the. I couldn't bring myself to go, and so I missed those opportunities, and I always kicked myself. But after I opened the store in 2015, he came in and we talked story, and I told him about the missed opportunities and stuff, and he was just a super nice guy, and we hit it off, and now we talk story all the time. It's like we never missed a beat. It was actually pretty cool, so I was grateful for that. But how I got to the store, so I'm back in Maui, I get those 2 graphic novels, and I start reading comics again, and I bust out my one single long box of comics that I have. It's some really beat up Silver Age stuff,
of course,
a lot of 90s stuff, the complete Phalanx Covenant, the complete Fatal Attractions,
nice,
the complete Age of Apocalypse. Partially complete Age of Apocalypse. That's like 100 books completed.
Yeah, it's a long run.
Yeah.
So then, anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go on.
I had that box. Most comic collectors that you talk to, and I'm from the 90s, they are brutal. They're snobs. They're mean. They, they don't respect your books.
Yeah.
And so I brought it to this guy named Bruce Ellsworth, and he was in Hawaii. He had been deported from Australia because he was too close to death.
Oh my God.
So it's public health care in Australia. And they booted him. They deported him. Sorry.
It's okay. Take your time. I'm still wrapping my head around deportation, so it's all good. Take your time, bro.
That one blew my mind too. And he was such a nice, sweet guy, but he had diabetes from a long time ago.
Oh, okay.
And he had lost a leg. He had heart problems. Man. I think he had cancer. So death was coming for this guy.
Yeah.
Hard. He moved to Hawaii. I met him in 2010, and he needed help doing collections and stuff, picking up boxes, moving them around. And, I brought my collection to him. He was super nice to me. We hit it off. I'm an X-Men kid, so I wasn't knowledgeable about everything else in comics. I didn't know Bernie Wrightson or Gene Colan, or I didn't know all this foundational comics information. I loved Mad Magazine, so I didn't realize that I loved Jack Davis, who's I love Jack Davis. I just didn't know who these artists were at the time.
Yeah.
But that's a lesson in gatekeeping. The other thing is I've had many people. I admit my ignorances. I don't know. I haven't read every comic. Forgive me.
No one has.
Yeah, exactly. But some people act like they have read every comic. And so if you tell them you don't know a creator or a writer, or that you haven't read this or that, and they act shocked, you haven't. I'm guilty of that too. I'll admit, if something's widely known, I'll be like, you haven't. But it's at the same time, it's
there's millions of them.
yeah, we can't download every comic at once, you know. None of us have that kind of time. So, you know, so
Just tattoo them on your arm. Let's just do that.
yeah, like Memento.
Yeah, it's like yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But it's like when you find out somebody doesn't know something foundational about comics that you know, just tell them about it.
Educate.
Don't, you know, that's it. Be that person that educates them.
And Alika, on that subject, because there are so many different. Let's just say you're an IDW guy, and I was a Marvel guy, and my buddy's a DC guy, and the other guy's a Valiant guy. We all have coming from a different experience, and we're all reading all different things. So when we come together, we can all educate each other on things that you missed on this side or that side or whatever other side. And it really does really irk my nerves, because it still happens today. When somebody will mention, let's just say somebody famous, for the sake of argument, let's say like they mention Tom King, okay? Let's say like, oh,
yeah, sure,
Tom
yeah.
And then of course, very well known, obviously he's done a lot of work. But then somebody will be like, oh, I'm not familiar with his work. And then someone will be like, you never heard of Tom King? Obviously they haven't.
It's like, if you haven't read comics in the past 10 years, then how would you know the guy anyways?
Thank you.
So it's like, yeah. And it's
that's
gentle reminders. I think, you know, some of it is people want to just flex. And then there's no cure for that, because oftentimes the people that are flexing don't have the base knowledge actually, like, to educate the person about Tom King or whoever it may be after they bring them up and flex on the person, you know. But the other side of it is, if you do have that knowledge, you don't need to be a jerk about it. Just tell them some storylines that they could read that you like about from Tom King, or that might, you know, be a good introduction.
Exactly.
Something like that.
It's not hard to do. Extend an olive branch. Don't break it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the toxicity in fandom since the 90s was the worst. As a kid, I was just intimidated to get into comics. I didn't think they were for me. This is like before I started reading X-Men or Spider-Man off the newsstand. I was like, I'm too little of a kid. Comics for me are like Archie and, you know, things like that.
Yeah.
Or Garfield, you know, I'm allowed to read that. I'm not allowed to read X-Men yet or whatever. I'm just like not cool enough or whatever.
I know exactly.
And so there was, I think a lot of that has come down, you know, over the years. I think the barriers are coming down in comics. Kids feel more comfortable with the material. I think they're marketed more towards them, which is great.
I agree. It's definitely marketed more towards them, and the idea of nerddom is not being frowned upon anymore.
Now it's cool to be a nerd. Now, like, all that suffering kind of
all the things that you went through or I went through or other generations have gone through, about, like, you know, like reading your comic book in silence, and so that you're not bullied or
just
whatever,
hiding the box and nobody knew you even had them.
Like those days are done. Now it's like, if you're not into it, there's something wrong with you. It's absolutely bizarre. This is a bizarro world for me. So
it's awesome. I'm eating it up.
Yeah, like, it's amazing, but it's weird. Because I remember, like me, I was into sports and stuff in high school and stuff like that. But at the same time, I had nerddom. I enjoyed comics. I enjoyed action figures. I enjoyed my video games. Without question. I was elbow deep in the nerd community.
Look, nowadays, that's not even like a weird thing to say.
Yeah, but at the time,
you look at NFL stars, and there's that one guy in the NFL who does all the anime stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, he does the you know what I mean, in the press conference.
Everybody does it now. Now crossing the streams.
It's so crossed. It doesn't even matter now.
It's crazy.
But yeah,
it's crazy.
It's like Bizarro world.
Yep, it is. It's Bizarro world. Up is down, down is up. It doesn't matter. But thank you so much for that. So you end up opening the shop in 2015.
Yeah. That's after working with Bruce, my mentor, for about 5 years. He passed in 2013.
Oh, okay.
But before he did, I thought he was going to open a store. I was like, Bruce, why don't you open a store? Because I want a comic store on Maui. There wasn't a store on Maui. The last one closed in 2005. And right before he died, he was like, what happened to that store you were talking about? And I was like, no, I was asking you. So he kind of put it in my head that I was capable of opening a store. And he passed. I took a couple years to build it, and then did in between that time. So in 2012, he installed me as his protege, as an advisor for the Overstreet Price Guide. He'd been an advisor since 1987.
Oh, wow.
Since about the 10th or 11th edition. And he recommended me. I'd been ghostwriting his reports for him. And so after he passed, I remained as an official advisor. So that gave me the credibility. An Overstreet Price Guide advisor. I'm actually the only one in Hawaii, which was surprising to me with how many big collectors there are out here, and and how many big books are moving around. I'm a small fish, I just love comics. That's the one thing I got going for me, is I love them. And I think a true love of anything is all you really need to survive in anything. It's weird, man. You listen to famous people and they're like, they had nothing. It sounds like they're making it up. You're like, I was living in a car. I was like doing this, but I went to every audition or this and that. And I was like, a normal person can't do that.
No.
Like, there's people who are destitute and homeless and they don't have a passion, or they haven't found that passion. And there's nothing that can drive them to try to escape that situation, or, I'm not saying that's the only way out or whatever, but
or
that's,
to have that drive, that passion to,
that drive can it can change the world. It's just, once you have that single-minded drive, what a human being is capable of is astonishing, astonishing.
Truly. So you have the shop. So now I want to ask, so how difficult was it? Because there's going to be some folks out there that want to start their own comic shop and things like that. How did it become what it is today? Like, especially when it comes to importing and all that other stuff. Like, I'm sure it was a bunch of challenges. So how did we go from, hey, I got this idea and I bought this space, to actually it operating like it's supposed to?
They're like, people opening a store, they're so into them, they're motivated, they're passionate, that nothing's really going to stop them. And so they're just looking for the logistical things that are actually helpful to them, not these lofty, things like comics are great and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that helped me most is reading Chuck Brzezinski's blog. It's like a 15-part blog on how to open a comic store. The first 9 blogs are purely about the mindset of opening a store. He doesn't talk numbers or anything until the 10th blog, but it was the best preparation. He owns the biggest comic store in the world. He owns Mile High Comics.
Okay.
Yeah, he discovered the Mile High collection. Chuck Brzezinski, legendary collector.
Oh my goodness.
AKA Betty Pages.
Yeah, well, I wasn't putting my brain, it wasn't putting it together at first. I'm like,
sure, yeah.
I'm like, I know that didn't even sound like something, but now it's there. Okay.
And so my mentor, Bruce Ellsworth, cruised with that echelon of people. He was a mentor to Harley Yee, who's a very well-known retailer of high-end comics. And all these other guys. And so my advice is check out that blog first, because that is golden wisdom for any person who's going to open a comic store. Where you don't have to agree with any of it, because all of it's true. That guy's
nice. I like that.
That guy's played the game from every angle, and he just knows what it takes, and it's true. And even the hard truths I swallowed before I opened my store. Number one hard truth, because you're passionate about comics. If you're a collector, obviously you're opening a store, you're a collector, you do that. Once you open that store, you cannot be a collector. A store owner cannot be a collector, because you cannot collect. You'll always undercut your store. You will always take the best for yourself, and you will not serve the customer. When you open a store, the customer is number one. The experience is number one. You no longer matter as far as collecting goes. Your job now is to curate comics for the community, to help bring them to the community, to help bring the community into comics. That's your responsibility, to share this, to make sure that the love of comics spreads. You're no longer, nobody cares what you collect anymore. Yeah. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, by the way.
Ooh, I like that. Ooh, but you're absolutely right.
That's my main one thing. And so that was a hard truth I had to swallow. I took my whole collection, which at the point I opened my store was worth thousands and thousands of dollars. Great books, awesome keys that I never thought I would own. It all belongs to the store now. I sold them all through the store. And so I don't And now I will say I broke the rule a little
Uh-oh.
bit. I do collect. I allow myself one copy of every Ninja Turtle comic. Once I have a copy of it, I no longer feel the need to collect it.
That's
so
fair.
My Ninja Turtle collection is pretty crazily complete. I have like almost every single comic printed.
Good Lord, man.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
I
talk about stacking them pancakes high.
Good. Yeah, I go there when it comes to collecting.
Wow, that's wow. But okay, but I like that. I like what you said. I like the reality of the situation that you're bringing to the forefront, because I believe, like most creators, like myself, you're a fan first before anything else. You're a fan before you're a creator. Once you become a creator, you're no longer a fan.
Yeah, it's an evolution. Like you can't. I mean, God, there's so many good examples of creators who are obvious fanboys.
Yes,
but it's like that just shows that they were fans before they were creators.
Exactly, but there has to be a line of demarcation. Which is required,
you know.
There has to be a line of demarcation, because I'll give you an example, Alika. Like for instance, as a fan of, let's just throw something together. The Infinity Gauntlet. Infinity Gauntlet. Sake of argument, just something simple. Fan of the Infinity Gauntlet. I love the story. I think it's one of the greatest stories Marvel ever told. Personally, that's my personal feelings. As a fan, I can like every single page, panel, color, all of it. I can love it all. As a creator, I have to look at it objectively.
That's right, yeah.
So the idea of fandom has to take a back seat so that creatively it can be critiqued. So you can see, like, oh, this is why this works. This is why I like this. But how could it have been improved? What wasn't, or it doesn't hold up, or whatever the critique may be. And that's the. It's like the same thing for you as a comic shop owner. Because at comic shops, you start off as you say, you're a collector. You stacking them pancakes. You up there. But once you're a shop owner, the collecting has to take a back seat. Not saying that you still don't have your own little collection on the side, but it has to take a back seat to how running a comic shop pushes things forward, instead of just you're collecting and in my case, as far as a creator is concerned, fandom. So
I 100% agree, and that that's why it was a hard shift to make. I made that shift when I opened my store. It was kind of like I just did it. Yeah. As soon as the store opened, I like took this mask off, put this mask on. It happened. That was it. I was like, it was kind of a culture shock to me. I was like, my comics.
Not my children. Don't.
Yeah, man. But it was the best decision I ever made, because the community that came back as a result of it. I know there's so many collectors here. Like, there's always going to be people who love comics here, but the support from the community, the new readers that started jumping in, the young readers, and things like that. And on that end, the year after I opened the store, we, one of the people I met through the store, my friend Ken, we co-founded and made the Maui Comic-Con. And it was basically just like a Comic-Con as we wanted to see it on Maui, which is, it's got to be free, because Maui people, like, this is a tourist place. So we're competing grocery prices with tourists. How is that fair? You know what I mean? We're paying $10 for milk and crap like that. It's the cost of living. We're paying what they think the tourists should pay. And it's crazy. It's, cost of living is insane here. And there's barely anything free to do for local families. There's barely anything to do as a family. Unless you're going outside enjoying, which is what the majority.
You're talking as far as event wise.
I'm saying event wise, they're always expensive. They're always restrictive. But so I was like, it's got to be free. It's got to be family friendly. Everybody can come, and because Maui needs that. We just need it. There needs to be something that the community can do together. And there are other big, great free events like the Maui Matsuri, which is like a Japanese festival at the springtime to start off. And there's Obon dances, which happen after the Matsuri, which is like kind of like each Buddhist temple will have like a dance. When you see the tower in the middle and the people dancing, that's Obon dancing.
Okay.
And they have the taiko drums, and so each Buddhist mission on Maui, and there's like a dozen, each week will do a Obon dance. So it's like one of my favorite times of the year, and we've missed it the last 2 years in a row. But you just go from church to church, and I live in Kahului. There's like 3 Buddhist missions in my immediate I could like walk to. So it's like they have good food, it's beautiful, and
it's pretty dope.
And you get to be with your relatives who had passed and show reverence to them. So it's a lot of good things during the summertime, and those are free. The reason I said that is because those are great free events, but there's not a lot of good free events. A lot of the rest of them cost money.
Yeah, we
just want to add another free event for people up Maui.
Yeah, and I think that's really important for the community, especially like as you know, here in the States, COMICON can cost an arm and a leg to show up.
Yeah, and people are traveling for that too. Like they're paying for the hotel, the travel, and then the ticket to get in's like what, $60 a day.
Yeah, it can get absolutely outrageous, and even for those like myself, other creators that are trying to rent booths, it's
yeah. And so that's the other thing is we provide our booths for free to the local creators. We don't charge because we know some of them came from other islands, so they had to pay to travel. But even if they didn't, we're here to support the artists as well.
That's brilliant.
So we're not going to put an obstacle into their money making. We don't know how well they're going to do. Maybe they're a first-time artists, and maybe they don't make the sales that they thought they might have. Imagine having to suffer that and have had to pay to get there. You lost money on it, and that's heartbreaking. We want to encourage artists as much as possible. So our artist alley tables are always free. The way we raise our money, we're a nonprofit, so we do fundraising and we charge the vendors and sponsors. That's it.
That's brilliant.
Yeah,
I gotta get myself a ticket. I'm about to head on over to y'all.
We're trying to have an event this year, but we're waiting for the approval from the mayor's office. So I'm gonna stop short of outright announcing it. But if it's happening this year, I know your uncle will be there. He'll be able to get you some stuff.
I'm sure he'll be there.
We didn't even bring up your uncle yet but your Uncle Tori, man, he's the man. He's one of my best customers. He's been there from the beginning. I mean, all of my customers. I think it's a small circle, but if I start naming customers and we have like awesome rapport with everybody, and it's like, yeah, there's tons of them, but your uncle's the man. He's the best.
Yeah.
And we share similar tastes. He's into that really dirty 70s rock. And
yes, he is.
I dig it. Yeah. I totally dig it. We go off on that stuff when we're talking, and like then we talk about. I was never really a huge Kiss fan because my mom was like,
he loves it.
She was anti-pop, I guess. But you go back and look at it, and the crossover between rock and comics happens at Kiss, and
it's true.
I thought that's a really cool angle, and he's a big Kiss fan, so he actually kind of made me appreciate Kiss a little more.
Yeah, he'll get you caught up. He'll get you caught up without question. He will. But that's amazing, Alika. All the work that you're doing.
I didn't mention. I'm sorry.
Oh no, please go for it.
Tori Dozier, great Maui musician. He's always around. So check him out if you guys get a chance.
Shout outs to him, Uncle Bro. Shout outs to you. But Alika, you're doing a lot of great work over there at Maui Comics and Collectibles, and things you're doing for your community is absolutely tremendous. And that's the exact type of camaraderie we need in the indies community, and the platform that you're giving to other indie creators out there is tremendous. That it's 100% like cons, mainstream cons should be doing what you're doing. I feel like the blueprint is there. I was kind of, I don't want to say we were the first to do I feel like there's been free conventions, right? There's been free conventions. Yes. But they're never.
I welcome anybody to go to our website, mauicomiccon.com, and look at the caliber of our guests. I think that we do well for a free convention. So,
and I will leave that link in the description section below. check out this site
Thank you, man.
and tell Alika how great he is.
Oh, you don't need to do that.
All that and all the awesome work he's doing. But yeah, but yeah, as far as free cons, usually around here, well, like me, I'm in DC, so I'm all the way on the other side of the planet.
Well, did you go to Baltimore?
So I missed it this year. Well, two reasons. One, I didn't know it was happening until too late.
Yeah, it was kind of like snuck up on us. Yeah.
Yeah, and then when I was then I couldn't get a booth when I got word. So I was like, well, all right, well that's done. And then,
by the way, congratulations on your book.
Oh,
it's awesome.
Oh,
yeah, great.
Thank you.
And the fact that you're like actually putting them out on a regular schedule, you know, not like a tight, you know, but like you've got 5 issues out now. That for an indie creator. And when did issue 1 come out? It was like maybe a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it was November 2019. So I'm coming up on my 2-year anniversary.
Hey, congratulations!
So I'm thinking about doing a little something.
That's awesome, man.
And yeah, it's coming along. I'm feeling good about it.
That's awesome. For an indie creator, let me just say as a retailer, the pace you're on is excellent. I like, because you know, Marvel and DC bi-weekly every month, you know, and those for big titles, you have a hard time even selling it at that pace. But when I get an indie creator and people read something and they want something else, and then a couple months later, but that person might not be back around the next month. They're not like a Marvel or DC subscriber. And then a couple months later, there is another issue, or they come back a few months later and there's 2 more issues. And I think you're on an awesome pace. The fact that you have 5 issues out now, this you know, close to your debut, I just hope you can keep that pace up, and that'll definitely serve you well.
Yeah. Well, first of all, Alika, thank you so much. We be grinding. You know what I mean? It's this series. I mean, I've been really, really proud of this series.
Treble.
Yeah.
The rhythm within.
Treble. The rhythm within. Yeah. That's my jump. Like, I've been really proud of this run. Once this run is done, because this one's gonna be an 8-issue run. Before awesome. I do the variants, and then I'm gonna do the volume.
A collected, yeah.
Yeah, and so I've already started writing.
We're in a different world, man. The collected version, I think there's a lot of people reading it now, but once the collected comes out, your readership is going to be more than double. I think it's just going to kind of explode. Yeah, and that's the pretty much the long game I'm playing. Pretty much. So once I get the novelization volume version, whatever, and I've already started writing the next series already. So you know, that's what I mean is like that fire under your ass. You know, not a lot of people have that.
No, not too many. You can get burned out pretty quick, but
they think they got it. They get 2 issues in, they're like, I'm going to take a nap.
Yeah, and that's all it takes, and you fall off the cliff. That's the way it goes. But Alika, I want to thank you sincerely from the bottom of my dark heart that you're awesome. The work you're doing is great. You've been a fantastic guest on the show. I'm so glad you're able to make the time.
Thank you so much for having me, man. Sorry I sidetracked you on X-Men earlier.
No, that's what it's for. The folks don't want to hear me talk. They hear me talk all the time. You talk.
I get angry about 90s X-Men.
Oh no. Ooh. Anyway, no. Whew. Everybody, go check out MauiComics.com. I will send a link to it in the description section below. If you are in Hawaii, definitely go and check out Maui Comics and Collectibles. Go and see all the great work they're doing. And if they end up kicking up their Maui Comic-Con date tentatively, if you are one of those creators that's in that area, go show your support for all the indie creators that Alika is backing. So once again, I want to thank you, my good friend Alika, for being here. I am Trey the Brute Daniels, and this is the Indie Corner for everybody that's new. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share, and follow me on all those dope social media platforms that you... Yeah, wait, I'm pointing the wrong way. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, I like that. At TheBrute00 on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those things. It'll be right under my face somewhere, right there under my face. So check me out and follow me on all those dope social media platforms. Once again, I am Dre the Brute Daniels, and I will catch you all next time. Also, if you want to support my channel, check out spinwiz.com or download the Spinwiz app and check out my comic series Trouble. It was written with a lot of love, and it was definitely my favorite comic series to write. I've also written it in English and in Spanish, so whatever floats your boat, I got it for you. Thanks again, and check it out.